All right, everyone. Welcome to our presentation today, the webinar we're hosting. Today, we're going to go over changes that have been made to Nevada excavation law. So just going to give it like 30 seconds here just for a couple people to jump in before we jump into the presentation. But in the meantime, a quick housekeeping item. So during the course of this presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask questions if they should come up. The best place or the only place that you'll be able to ask the questions or we want you to ask questions is in the Q&A feature. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see the Q&A button. This will allow you to open up the Q&A window. And we ask that you put your questions in there because we have a team of panelists who are going to be reviewing those questions and be able to give you real-time answers during the presentation. Also, you'll notice that there is a chat feature on the bottom of the screen. So if you click that, it's going to open up the chat window. The only reason we're using this is just to provide links to information that could be helpful after the webinar is over. You should see a link to a page on our website that will contain the actual document that we're basing this presentation off of, which was provided to us by the PUCN. Details all the amended changes that'll be affecting Nevada Administrative Code 455. We're also going to be posting the registration for future webinars, and then as well as the recording of this webinar once we have completed it, in case you want to share that with any members of your team. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you have questions, feel free to put those in the Q&A, and we'll get rolling.
Hey Matt, real quick, you're in the presenter view, so everybody can see your presenter view. So
Oh boy, okay. Here, let me change it. I thought it only showed me. Boom. All right, we're ready. Okay, so today we're just going to go over specifically updates that are being made to Nevada Administrative Code 455. So part of that update is going to require USAN to provide reporting to the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada. Not directly pertainable probably to you as excavators and operators, but just something to be aware of. The other one is going to be electronic notification to excavators. So when is that required and what will that look like? Then we have electronic positive response for operators, something we've been expecting for a while, which has now been implemented. So that's exciting news. Also, excavation begins when responses are in. A big update for excavators that we'll get into. Also, the requirement to review electronic positive response in the field. And then also going over a change that's been in the law for quite some time. This is actually in the Nevada revised statutes, but it is an update to the official definition of excavation. So just to go over that, make sure we're all on the same page with that update. All right, so first change here, again, not directly probably pertainable to what you do and deal with, but there is new language added to the administrative code, which effectively requires us at the notification center to make available reports at the request of the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada pertaining to information that's been provided to us from operators and excavators. So essentially what that means is that when the PUCN reaches out to us requesting certain reports, we are obliged to provide that report to them. So just know that we are going to be, we already do work pretty closely with the PUCN and we're providing reports, but it's just an official, legal requirement now in the law. So next one, electronic notification to excavators. So another new addition requires that once the notification center has received responses from every operator on your ticket regarding the status of their response to your 811 ticket, we are required to immediately send out an electronic notification to you, the excavator, basically notifying you that we have received those responses. This is currently in place. So essentially, when every operator submits an EPR code in the system, we send out an electronic notification to the excavator. Now, some of you may be thinking that maybe it doesn't happen quite often. And a lot of that is probably due to the reason that for quite some time, electronic positive response in Nevada was an optional requirement, or I shouldn't even say requirement, it was optional for the operator. So there were probably a few operators on many tickets who just simply weren't posting responses, which wasn't triggering that electronic notification to be sent out. But as we'll go into more depth on our next talking point, that's going to probably change here. So you should be seeing more electronic notifications once we receive all of the electronic positive response codes from the operators on your 811 tickets. Now, to view your positive response, so again, you're going to receive an email once we get all those responses, but you can always check your positive response codes at any time by simply logging into your OneCall Access account. So from your home screen, you're going to click on the History tab in the left-hand menu, and that will allow you to see all of your tickets. And all you have to do is simply click on a ticket, and it will open up a lot of information, but the important thing that we're looking at is going to be the list of utility members. Here, you're going to be able to click on a member specifically, which will generate or show you what the electronic positive response code that they left. So in this example, this test company account that we use, they left a response code of 10 or 010, notifying me that the located area was marked, okay? So this is where you're going to go ahead and find those EPR response codes. And this is available at any time because remember, the electronic notification gets triggered once we receive every operator's response. So if we don't receive all their responses and you haven't gotten an email yet, I highly recommend you go into OneCall Access to view the EPR. You can even download this sheet for your records and basically giving you access anytime to view it. All right, so this is a big one. So as many of you are aware, electronic positive response is simply a communication method that allows the operator to respond to us at the notification center and update us on the status of their response to an 811 ticket. Now in California, for many years, this has been legally required for every operator. As I mentioned earlier, operators in Nevada, this has been optional, okay? As of now, as of today, this is no longer optional. This update to the Nevada Administrative Code now requires operators to immediately notify the Association for Operators, which is what our center is called in Nevada law, once they have completed their required duties upon receiving an 811 ticket. Now, the way that we facilitate that is through electronic positive response. So that's how they're going to facilitate this requirement. So if there are operators in the room or in this webinar who maybe are not doing EPR, who maybe felt it's been optional and haven't done it, it is a requirement now in Nevada. So we want to get up to speed on that. If you're using some sort of vendor, a web TMS vendor, or using some other vendor besides our offered DPP platform, definitely reach out to your vendor and figure out how to get those response codes on those tickets as they are now required. Now, in order this is referring to essentially if you and the excavator, so if the operator and the excavator, if they agree to some later time, some mutually agreed upon time to complete the duties that are required of the operator, that information has to be reflected in EPR as well. So essentially, you're going to have to note in EPR that, hey, we've agreed to a mutually different date and time. And then once those duties have been completed, you have to update that to reflect how you've responded. So the same thing, but it just kind of speaks specifically to the case where the excavator and operator agree to some sort of later date and time to complete those obligations or those duties. Now for the operator, you are able, every operator, every member of USA North 811 has access to our free DPP platform. So again, that's completely free. It allows you to go in and manage your membership account. This is the place where you can also assign response codes to your 811 tickets. So you just simply open up a ticket that you've received, and in the response code status, you'll select a code from a list of dropdowns that applies to how you've responded to the ticket. You can leave a note as well, explaining something in more detail, or maybe something that you want the excavator to have access to. Just know that if you want this note visible to the excavator, you're going to want to check this box below that allows the excavator to see this response, okay? Now, again, some of you may be using another vendor to manage your tickets, so definitely reach out to them. Make sure you understand how to use that system to fulfill the obligation for electronic positive response. All right, this is another big one. So this is actually changing in California starting Jan 1, but it's already in effect in Nevada. So essentially, there were kind of two factors that determined when an excavator could begin digging. Okay, one of them was that the excavator had to wait until they received a response, one of those required responses from every operator on their 811 ticket. The second requirement was that they had to wait until the listed start date and time on their ticket had passed, and it had to be at least 2 working days. Nevada law has now removed that second requirement regarding the time. So now excavators in Nevada can begin digging as soon as they receive all of the required responses on their 811 tickets from every operator. So that's huge, right? I think that's going to be great news for every excavator in the state. I hope many are already doing this. And I think it makes a ton of sense, right? And once you get all those responses in, you can go ahead and start excavation, keep these projects on time, and you don't have to wait that extended time for the legal start date and time to pass. But again, just emphasizing, you do have to wait and confirm that each operator has given you an appropriate response, right? So they've marked the site, they've provided you information about where the line's located, or they've advised you that they do not operate a line within your dig site. Okay, so once every operator has completed one of those 3 responses, you're now clear to begin digging, which is great, great news. All right, one other additional requirement before you begin digging. So you need to review the electronic positive response codes that have been provided by the operator. Okay, and you need to review these codes in the field, right? So the PUCN is wanting you to essentially confirm the response code in the field from each operator. So if someone said they located the area, if they've marked it, we should be confirming that in the field in real time by seeing a visible marking on the ground left by that company. Same thing for like if they've given you information about where the line's located, we should see information in an email in the form of a phone call, something that's documented that provides that information. So this is kind of an additional requirement before you dig to ensure that you verify all the utilities have been marked and located properly before excavation begins. All right, and then the last one here. So just a redefining of the term excavation. So previously in Nevada revised statutes, the definition of excavation was listed as simply the movement or removal of earth, rock, or other material in the ground by the use of mechanical equipment, or obviously the placement of discharge and discharge of explosives. Okay, so non-mechanical equipment was not listed. So people can make the argument that hand digging, shovels was not considered excavation in the state. Well, now that has been, corrected, so to speak. Non-mechanical equipment is now explicitly listed. So a contractor who is using non-mechanical equipment is considered excavating. Any person who is not a contractor, so think of like homeowners, if they are using non-mechanical equipment and they are digging deeper than 12 inches below the surface of the ground line, they are now considered excavating. So it just kind of clears up that excavation definition to, I think, better capture instances where we may use hand tools or non-mechanical means of excavating. So again, any contractor, if you're digging with mechanical or non-mechanical equipment, you're excavating, and thus the requirements before excavation apply to you. Any person other than a contractor, like homeowners, if they're hand digging or non-mechanical digging lower than 12 inches, it is not considered excavation. If it's deeper than 12 inches, it is. So just important for us to be on the same page with that definition, make sure we understand what the law defines excavation as. And that's really most of the updates. There are a few other minor updates, editorial changes within the Nevada Administrative Code. You can go ahead and find that document with the link that we left in the chat. It's going to have the entire revised Nevada Administrative Code, which you can go ahead and review. But those are the ones that directly pertain to excavators and operators, and I think are going to be some of the more impactful ones. So if you need any other information regarding these law changes, if you want to register for a future webinar, if you want to view the webinar recording, which we should have up shortly, you can go to our website at usanorth811.org. There will be a banner at the top of our page, which will be titled Upcoming Law Changes, and you can click that to find the page, or again, click the link in the chat. And then also, if you have any questions, we're going to take some time to answer any questions you might have at the end of this presentation. But if you have any additional questions later on, maybe you think of something when this ends, please reach out to us. Our education email is listed below. Just shoot us an email. We want to help you guys. We want to be a resource and make this as easy as possible. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it to the Q&A. I can't, let me see if I can pull it up using my share. So if you guys see any questions you want to answer live, let me know. What we got here. All right, so let me pull up the Q&A panel. All right, so we got a question from Kurt Berna, I believe is how you pronounce that. So the question is, where does it say you have to field verify? So the law change here that we were referring to with the verification was regarding the fact that you as an excavator now have to verify the electronic positive response codes. And we know, just speaking with the PUCN, that they are expecting you to do that in the field. They want to make sure that those codes are verified in real time in the field, just to make sure that those marks are on the ground, right? That the operator responded in that way, instead of doing it maybe at another location or an office where it's easy to maybe forget what the EPR code was, or just roll up on a site believing it's good to go without taking a second look at the marks that were put on the ground. So that's where that comes from, that update to the requirement to review EPR before you begin excavating. All right, let's see here. Are the positive response codes identified in the Nevada revised statutes or the Nevada Administrative Code? They're not identified there, but we do have documentation on our website under the electronic positive response option that will detail all the codes that are available for use. So I would direct you to our website to view that. And I can actually, let me get the link to that page here.
I grabbed a map. Let me
I
throw
got
that
it.
in the, or if you could throw them in the chat as well. I don't think I can. Let's see. Yeah, I think I just sent you the link in chat. Maybe if you could repost that in chat so everybody can have it, because I just sent it to Tyler's.
There it is, just
response.
posted it in there. So we got a question. Do we still have the 2 days to do our positive responses? So operators in the state of Nevada, yes, you still have 2 working days to respond to tickets, right? The change is simply saying that if every operator responds before that start time, the excavator can begin, but you still have the appropriate deadline to respond to tickets. All right, I don't see much other questions. I'll give it maybe 30 seconds or so to see if any filter in, but looks like we've cleared them all out. All right, cool. Well, yeah, super short update. There weren't that many changes, but 2 big changes in regarding the EPR required by operators, and the fact that you can start before the start date and time, right? Pending you get all those responses. So some big changes. But just again, thank you for your time for coming into this meeting. Let's see here. Is there a requirement for concrete cutting or asphalt cutting? So yes, any disturbance or breaking of the ground is considered excavation. Let me pull up the exact verbiage here. So again, when we look at the use of mechanical equipment to break the ground. Yeah, so excavation means the movement or removal of earth, rock, or other material in or on the ground. So, you know, we would probably consider that excavation, especially since it's the use of mechanical equipment. Thus requiring you to use 811. So we definitely recommend you to use 811 before doing any concrete or asphalt cutting. All right, well, it looks like all those questions are good. So yeah, again, thanks for your time. If you have any additional questions, anything else pops up, please reach out to us. That email again was education@usan.org. Super short and sweet. So again, anything else, feel free to reach out. Hope you guys have a great holiday and you continue to dig safe. All right, guys.